everyone, so based off the back of all those bendy cards we've been doing recently, I had an idea to do a hexagonal one. So this is that Bendi Tower card again that both Sam and I came up with at exactly the same time, but she picked me to the post with the video. But I thought I'd do a hexagonal one. So this is just basically a hexagonal one, same kind of thing, it's just that you've got a hexagon. Now, those of you who sort of know about what you're doing, you could probably figure this out, to be honest with you. But I just wanted to show you because I didn't use a die to cut the hexagon out. And for a while now, I've wanted to do a hexagonal shaped card, but I don't have a hexagonal die big enough. I've got hexagonal dies, but they're smaller ones. They're not for cutting out card blanks. Yeah, so I found a way of doing this. Just need a ruler and a pencil and some scissors, and you can make yourself a hexagonal card. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need, so basically this card actually fits, the one that I've done here actually fits in a 6x6, an envelope for a 6x6 card. Now, it actually, if you fold it, because you've put it in, obviously that's what it looks like when it's up, and then it folds flat like that to fit into an envelope, and it actually measures, the footprint of it actually measures 6 inches by 5 inches. Now, you can do 6x6 if you want, but obviously your measurements are going to be slightly different. So we're doing it as it's 5x6, okay? But it'll fit into a 6x6. It's not the biggest of cards, but it's quite a nice. I quite like it. It's sort of smaller than I would normally do. But I mean, it's only an inch smaller than the 6x6. It just feels smaller because obviously you've got triangle, corners missing because of it being a hexagon. But yeah, it's quite a nice size. So yeah, so anyway, so you need 4 pieces that are 5x6, and these are all base card. And again, like we did with the other one, these are about a 200 GSM. I wouldn't go any thicker than that because you're going to be sticking quite a lot of layers together. Okay, so that's your base card that you need. So then what you need to do is you need to get your, before we start making it into a hexagon, we need to score it. So if you bring your scoreboard in, and we're going to score along the 6-inch edge, and we're going to score halfway at 3 inches. And you're going to do that on every single piece. Now just bear in mind, if you've got, like me, you've got a plain side and then a pattern side. The pattern side, I don't want the pattern side. That's the bit that's going to be stuck together. This is the side I'm going to see. So actually I need to be scoring on the opposite side. But obviously, you do whatever you normally do. So I normally score here, and then that would be a valley. No, sorry, that would be a mountain. That would be a mountain. That's how I normally do it. I score, and then whatever side I score on, it ends up into a mountain fold. But I know some people do it the other way around. But I just want to make sure that plain colour's on the inside and the pattern's on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead, score the other 2 pieces. And then you just want to go ahead and just fold and burnish each of your pieces. So you end up with 4 L-shape 5x6 pieces. And then what you want to do is take all your pieces, and on each one you're going to, if you turn it over so that you've got the score line going horizontally along this edge here, which is your 5-inch edge, you're just going to mark at 2.5 at the top and at 2.5 at the bottom. Actually, what you can do is you can just do this on one piece and then use this as your template. And if you wanted to, you could actually just cut yourself out a random piece of template out of a scrap piece of card and just use that rather than having to keep measuring. And then what you want to do is where your halfway line is, you want to measure 1.5 inches to the right of it and 1.5 inches to the left of it. Okay, and again the same on the bottom. So 1.5 inches to the right and 1.5 inches to the left. You should have a mark here and here. Both of those marks are 1.5 inches away from the middle line, same at the bottom, and then you should have a mark at 2.5 inches here and here. And then what we're going to do is you can either just go ahead and cut it straight away with a guillotine or whatever, or you can draw it in. So you're just going to draw in your marks. So you're going to join up this mark at the bottom with the mark on the side. And the same on here like this. So we're going to draw from this mark here to that halfway line, and you can see the hexagon starting to appear. Okay, like that. is your hexagon. Make sure obviously that your flat line is where, you know, so it stands up like that. So your points are on the sides, not on the top and bottom. And then basically what you want to do is you want to cut them all. So if you wanted to, you can put them all together and guillotine them. If your card isn't, you know, is okay to do that. I can probably manage 2 pieces. I could probably do that with 2 pieces. I'm actually going to cut them with scissors, just because I find it a little bit easier than doing it with the guillotine. Okay, so I've cut out 2, and I'm just going to use this first one again, and I'm going to use it as a template. So I'm just going to lay it on, put it in exactly right, and then as soon as I've got it laid down exactly right, I'm then going to draw around it and then cut the 2 together again. So I've cut all of my corners off. There are my corners there. So I've got 4 hexagons. Now they're not going to be absolutely identical. And one thing that is tricky is when you're doing multiples at the same time, you might end up with, you know, one that's slightly bigger than the other, etc. That's just one of those things. If it really bothers you, you can always trim them down. I mean, if you've got a die big enough, then use your die. But obviously your measurements will be slightly different to what I've got here. So yeah, so that's your 4 pieces. Now, as we did with the normal Bendi Tower card, when we stick our pattern papers on, you can either do them before or you can do them after you've actually assembled your base card together. It's completely up to you. I think that again with this one, I'm probably going to put them on before, because I'm not planning on having any of my little tabs going behind the pattern paper. So they're all going to be stuck on top like that. And so therefore I can just stick my patterns on. Right, so I'm going to put these to one side, because what we're going to do next is cut out our pattern paper. So next you need to get yourself 4 bits of pattern paper. I've used 2 of one pattern and 2 of another pattern, and these are the fantastic florals from the Paper Boutique. This is an old pack, I don't know if you can get it anymore. And these need to be 5 1/4 wide by 4 3/4 high. Now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to I would do all your measurements on the back, because then if you get pencil everywhere it doesn't matter. You want to mark, if you have them so that they're wider than they are tall, so you've got the 5 1/4 going from right to left and it's 4 3/4 tall, you're then going to mark halfway at 2 5/8 along the 5 1/4. So 2 5/8, and then also along the bottom at 2 5/8. And so that you're going to cut down that line. So that's your halfway line. Oh, that's not level. Why is that not level? 2 5/8 is there. So you should have, that should be halfway, hopefully. Yep, 2 5/8, 2 5/8, perfect. So then what you want to do is turn it round, and you're going to make a mark at 2 3/8 on this shorter side. 3. Okay, so I've made a mark there and a mark there. So now what we want to do is we now need to measure a 1 1/4 inches from this central line to the right, and then 1 1/4 to the left, and make a little mark, and do the same at the bottom. Now again with this, I would definitely recommend that you cut yourself out a little template and just use it and lay it on, because that would make things a lot easier. So then what we're going to do is we're now going to again draw lines between that halfway mark that we made and the 1 1/4 mark, top and bottom, and left and right, and that will give you your hexagonal shape. Okay, so there's your hexagon, and if you want you can just lay it on, just make sure it looks like it's going to be about right. And this is, I mean, it's never going to be exactly right, just bear that in mind, it's never going to be exactly right, but this will be more or less right, I would say. Okay, so next what we want to do is you want to just go ahead and cut them all. Now again, as I said, if you want to, you can draw them all out, do all those measurements all over again on every single piece, but life's too short for that. So I know that I can cut 4 pattern pieces, because these aren't that thick. These pattern pieces are like, I think they're like 140, 150, 60, something like that. They're not very thick anyway. I know I can cut all 4 together. So I'm just going to make sure all my patterns are the right way up. Yep. And then I'm just going to make sure they all stay together, and I'm going to cut that together, and I'm going to do it in my guillotine this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So that's my 4 hexagons cut out, and then all we need to do now, again, put them all back together again, and we're just going to cut them all the way down the middle. Okay. Again, I find it easier to do that rather than to keep on, you know, measuring and whatever. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut them in half. There we go. Now I'm just going to turn this over. Okay, so let's bring one of our pieces in. Now, as I said, these aren't going to fit perfectly because obviously you've done it by yourself, you know, human error and all that business. But to be honest, they're good enough. Like, that's not too bad. You can kind of get them, you know, they're not completely bang on, but I think that I can cope with that. So just shimmy them into place. So yes, I'm going to go ahead now and stick them all down onto my base cards. Okay, so I've stuck all my pattern pieces down. So now we just need to assemble it. So what I'm going to do is what we did before. I'm going to take the pattern piece, which I want to be flat at the back. So like on this one, I've got this floral. So I'm just going to turn this over like that. Going to put some glue on this side here, and then we're going to take the other piece, stripe piece, which is this one here, and fold it in half, or I can sort of put it on first and then fold it in half, put it on, fold it in half, and you want it again, use red tape or a strong wet glue, just something really strong that's going to hold it together. And as I said before, you need to really make sure your focus needs to be on making sure that's in the center there rather than this edge. So obviously this, I can see I have quite a bit of a difference there, a little bit of a difference there, but I can trim that. I can't sort out if the center's not quite right. So we're just going to trim this so that it fits. And again, this is where the homemade side of it comes in, because obviously this is a homemade card. It hasn't been mass produced. It's not going to be perfect. It just isn't. If you're using a die or a Cricut or something like that, you could probably manufacture yourself a little template. But I don't have that kind of thing. So, right, so that's that. So you've got like a T at the moment. Okay, so then we're going to take the other stripy one. And we're going to do the same again. So I'm just going to put some glue on this side here. And again, red tape or glue, either is fine. Just going to put some glue on here. Give it a good coating. And then take this and fold it in half. And I'm just going to make sure that nudges right up to that middle piece there. And again, I can already see that the card I'm sticking it to is slightly bigger than the card that I'm sticking down. So there we go. If I turn it to the front, so we're just going to get our scissors and we're just going to neaten it up. Okay, so you end up with that. So you've got the pattern at the front, you've got the stripe here and the stripe here. And as I said before, if you want to do it with 3 pieces, you can. It just means you've got a bit of a join at the back. It does kind of stand up. It stands more kind of, yeah, it's not as rigid and not as stiff if you use 3 pieces. But I'm going to use 4 just because I've already gone to the trouble of cutting them all out, and also because I don't really want this pattern. But if you wanted to, you could use 3 pieces. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to thoroughly put glue or tape or whatever it is you're using all the way over the back like this. And then we're going to take the last piece, which is our pattern piece, and we're going to stick it down. And again, just make sure that it sits nicely into that crease. It's not all off to one side. Just keep sort of lifting the flaps up, making sure that's really into that crease there. It will fold flat like that, so just make sure it wants to fold flat. And then when you're happy that it's in the right place, you can just go ahead and trim any extra bits off that shouldn't be there. So you should end up with your little hexagonal card looking like that. And then all we need to do now is add the bendy bit on. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could leave it like this and just put a top on the front, do a different mechanism in the front there. You could do what you want, really. There really is so much you could do with this. So I've just got a little many happy returns greeting, and I've got a little strip. And so the general rule is make your strip the width of your topper plus 1 inch. And then if you do that, that just means then you just need to score 1/2 inch either side, which makes your little tabs. Fold those back like this. And then those little tabs are going to have some tape on. And then we just need to stick this onto the actual greeting itself. Okay, so I've put tape on that bit and tape on here. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to take this off and put this on. Now I've already given this a curve, already curved it a bit. It's quite a thick card, so you really do need to make sure you curve it. And then we're going to go ahead and stick this onto here, making sure it's kind of central and it's straight like that. And then I'm just going to give that another curve because now I've added an extra layer. And then we're going to take off the backing here. And the backing here. And then we're going to go ahead and stick this down nice and central on the front of our card. Like that. And then just give it a bit of help. And as you can see, it just bends on the front, which is great. So then we need to do the same on the back. So I've just had, this is actually a spare circle that I had left over from another project. Probably one of the cards we've done recently, actually. So I've just stamped a happy, have an awesome birthday. And that's going to go at the back there. And that'll be where my message goes. So again, same rules apply. I found an offcut of card. And I've just cut it so that it's 1 inch wider than the width of my topper. And then what I'm going to do, I've scored it and it 1/2 inch on either side. So I've got these little 1/2 inch tabs here. So I'm just going to fold those back like that. And then I'm going to put tape on here, stick that onto there. I also need to curve this so that it's already got a bit of a curve in it. And then when I put the little strip on the back of it, it should be a bit more willing to do what it's supposed to do. So let's go ahead and put some tape on. You want to use a strong tape, don't use a double-sided. Because you're kind of making it 3D, you do need to go quite strong. Wet glue is also fine. For the purposes of the video, I'm not using a wet glue just because I've got to, obviously you'd have to sit and watch it dry. So I'm just using a red tape because that's immediate. So I'm just going to stick this down. So now we're going to peel the backing off of here, and I'm just going to bring my piece of card in, and that's going to go on there again, nice and central, nice and straight, as straight and central as you can, like that. I don't know how straight that is. Oh, it's not too bad. It's not the best. Could have been up a little bit more, but it's not too bad. So then we're going to again take the backing off the back of the tabs and stick it onto the back of our little card. So here's our card. Just fold the tabs in and then stick that in nice and central like that, and then give it a bit of a thing, and there you have it. There's your card. So it's really not too bad to do. I like the fact you don't need a die, but yeah, so there's your hexagonal bendy 4-way tower card. Now I've called it a 4-way because there are more in the pipeline. So if anybody picks me to the post, in fact I'm going to show you it now. Okay, I'm going to show you this card just in case anybody goes ahead. Oh, I can't show you because I haven't made it. Yeah, there are other ones in the pipeline. Okay, so if anybody does anything else, then I have already done something, but it's coming up soon. Okay, so anyway, so that's the card. I hope you like it. Please have a go. Please like and subscribe. hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for all your comments on the craft haul and the big question video that I did. I did not realise quite how popular like my name was. I really didn't, and I've not really heard from those who really like my name, so I'm really pleased that you guys all really like my name. And I shall be keeping it as Iced Images. On Instagram I am Iced Images Cards, just because Iced Images was already taken, so I do have both handles, as it were. So yeah, so that's that. But yeah, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time. Bye.